Good morning, YouTube. This is Mike, the Okie Entrepreneur, coming at you. And just a couple of things this morning I want to talk about. Before we get started, if you like my content, if you don't mind, I'd greatly appreciate subscribe to the channel, leave me a like, but most of all, comment. Let me know how you feel. Either way, open forum on the topics we discussed. So this morning, I did see quickly an article about Ford from car.com or something about it being having a lot of wins lately, but can it sustain it? So I've been seeing a lot of commercials with Ford and GM and Mercedes-Benz about EVs. In my opinion, they're a little behind Tesla. Tesla's already had this stuff to market for a few years now. So if you look out on the road, the Tesla EVs are obviously easy to see, and the red ones look pretty good. I just believe EVs strictly have a place in our society, a really useful place actually, but I also feel that, you know, a Toyota Prius that has a gas and an electric superior, but you know, that's the future, and that technology is just getting better. But anyway, a few weeks ago we talked about Ford options, and is it still a good time to be, you know, buying and selling calls and puts on Ford? I think so. It still has a dividend. It's not going anywhere. It's a strong company. So tell me how you feel. Are you guys getting back into the market on options or stock, or how do you feel? Oh, and the next one is the rail strike. So I've been an hourly guy. I've been a salary guy. I've been a member of a union. So this is kind of twofold how I feel is, of the 12 unions that were in the brokered deal with the government, the U.S. government, as far as I know, I don't know why the U.S. government's in union arbitrations, but it must be because it's a critical part of the country's economy because of freight through rail gets transported. Beyond that, everything gets delivered by truck, everything. Rail has a big part of that. We buy and consume a lot of stuff, and that has to be moved. But anyway, 12 unions, 3 or 4 didn't like the deal. So so on one hand, I'm like, well, why is a minority imposing the decision on the other ones? That might just be the bylaws and rules of the unions. I don't know. I'm distrustful of unions because of my history with them, but the government, our president, asked Congress to pass legislation to force them to not strike. Well, they have a legal contract that allows them to strike. And I'm a libertarian, and that really bothers me that the government can just change the rules of a legal bargaining agreement. So it's just like our government changed the rules about what they can do on requiring you to have a vaccine because of some loophole. And I feel this is the same way, that the government should probably try harder to get people, the railroad workers and the companies to come together, because the railroad workers are really only wanting I think a 14 or 15% pay increase. Ooh, sounds like a lot. They make a lot. Well, guess what? Inflation has been 8% for the year. You know, I did not get an inflation-based pay raise. I got much lower. So my dollar, I actually lost money. You will too. If your employer doesn't give you an 8% raise next year, you do not have the same buying power as you should, because it's getting ate up by, you know, natural inflation. Will it come down? Yeah, but for 2 years, I mean, the S&P is down 16%. We're getting hammered. So it's not out of the ballpark what they want. So I kind of see both sides. But on the other hand, how do you feel? Let me know. Are you okay with the government just changing the rules of legal, you know, contract law? I mean, because if the government can just simply change the rules of contract law, think about that. Think about everything as a person in this country that contract law covers. Your house, ownership, ownership of your 401k, any sort of operating agreements. The government, basically suspended contract law when they said you can't evict somebody for not paying rent. And as an investor, that was a big deal for me. I'm like, listen, we work really hard, investors, small investors, to provide housing to people who, they're not rich. For whatever reason, they're renting and not buying. And then we're punished by the government for doing that. There's no recourse. So if they're going to suspend us, I feel if the government can suspend you from evicting people for non-payment, that you should not have to pay property taxes that year for not, but that doesn't happen. So tell me, this was a short one this morning. Tell me how you feel. Do you feel the government should be able to do that per the whims of whoever's in charge? I really don't. I think there's a better way. It's just easier this way to hammer people, hammer the unions. I'm incredibly surprised that the Democrats are going to go along with doing this to union folks. But then again, they've been losing support from unions very long because, whatever. Like I said before, I don't want to make this a political channel, but it's just really interesting because if the rail does shut down, it will just destroy the supply chain. And that means shortages, and that means no toilet paper on the shelf, no bags of decaf tea that I can get. So if it's not made in-house, which means inside the borders of our country, we're in trouble. So you guys have a great day, and go find your next deal.